And now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the MTMV main card with your man, the Voice. As always, in the opposite corner, my mano y mano, my verbal sparring partner, the Iron One. I want to say is FE is the periodic code for it. I don't know, but you know who does know or doesn't know or doesn't care? Iron Wildress Ruffin. What's going on, Ruff?
I sure don't because I didn't like science in high school, so I don't know nothing about it. But I'm here. I'm excited. It's smoke o'clock. You know how we do.
Yes, sir.
I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the man with his own T-shirt. Have you gotten the merch yet? Is the question. The Voice. We got some exciting stuff to get into. Voice, how you feeling tonight? I know you ready already. So
It's smoke o'clock, so you know how I feel. I like the smoke, not anything that will alter my mind state, but that smoke that gets you fired up.
definitely that. Let's go ahead and get into KOs and low blows. Even though I know that this first segment is gonna hurt you, talking about your favorite boxer and you're disappointed. I hope you're recovering. So after the loss this Saturday, Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, everyone is wondering what's next. If you missed it, Tommy Fury won by decision. The aftermath of it has been quite hilarious. What's up, C? It's been quite hilarious after the fact because everything that Jake spit out, he's getting it back tenfold in a lot of different ways. But there are some who are still saying, hey, even after this fight, it's time to take Jake Paul seriously. So, Voice, I want to get your thoughts. What did you think about the outcome of Saturday's fight, and where do both Paul and Fury go after this?
I think the outcome. I think it. I want to. My initial thought was it was to be expected, but honestly, as well as Jake fared for himself, I don't know if it was to be expected. I mean, he was facing a boxer this time, a for real boxer. Now, granted, Anderson whooped on a former champion in um oh father, I can't think of his name. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. But we all know he doesn't take boxing very seriously. So, you had that caveat. And Anderson is like 47, 48 years old. So, that's to be expected. Or I should say that is understandable. Where you've got a boxer who's in their physical prime, though, not the best boxer, but a boxer nonetheless. And he fared well. He carried himself well, got knocked down, but he lost the fight. As far as where they go from here, I know that there is a rematch clause. Whether or not um, Jake takes or enacts the rematch clause or activates it, that's a different story. He may feel as if he's done enough here. I mean, he reportedly, or I should say, he claims he made $30 million from this fight, which is great work if you can get it. Do you do this again, and does it do as well? Is there more intrigue now because of your knockdown and it being a split decision? I don't know. There are a lot of different ways he can go, though. Still, you got KSI who's talking, and then that's a great angle from the respect that, or I should say, from the perspective that he beat his brother. He beat Logan. So, now I go and I redeem the family name. The only issue with that one is that KSI box on the zone. I don't know what Paul's contracts are like with ESPN. I don't know if it's a by fight basis, or if they have a certain amount of fights that he owes them, because PFL is on ESPN too. So I don't know how that will work out. You still have Nate Diaz out there. Now, although Nate was talking big and bad about Logan, and that may be the fight that takes place. Who knows? But he's got choices. Is the thing. He can fight Paul again. He can try to fight KSI. He can fight uh, Nate Diaz, and I think they're all still viable options for him. Or he can say, "Well, let me start training for MMA since I got this fight that I'm trying to do next year." With PFL. So
Mhm.
things can go a number of different ways for him, and the money train does not stop. It may slow down a little bit, but it doesn't stop. For Fury, really, I mean, he could do KSI. That's a fairly easy fight for him to do, and with his visa issues, that's probably a good fight to have because KSI is also from the UK. um, or a number of other fighters, out there. He could just go back to the Chitlin circuit and get names and rack up wins. He doesn't have to take a step up in competition because Jake Paul was a step up name wise, recognition wise, money wise, but competition wise, no. And then you got a split decision over this dude. It's not like you ran him out the building. You got a split decision. So fighting lower level competition is probably where it needs to be.
So before we move on, another question I have is so with Jake Paul losing this fight, and a lot of people are literally clamoring for him to lose to say, okay, you're not a real boxer.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it was a split decision. Tommy Fury has been boxing since he was maybe 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What did this say to the boxing community? I mean, did they begin to take Jake Paul seriously as a possible real boxer, or is this one of those things where they kind of put him back into that parody zone and he's not taken seriously? Because I mean, if he would have won, there was a WBC ranking literally on the line for him.
Right.
And like you said, it wasn't a knockout; it was a decision. So, how does the boxing feel about Jake Paul now moving forward? And what are the possibilities? Because I know, like you said Nate Diaz, but I mean, does he try to go back and fight more natural boxers to see where he can go and what he can do?
Well, that was a couple questions. One, how's the boxing community feel? They feel vindicated because and not just the boxing community, everyone who hates Jake Paul feels vindicated because he finally lost. Did he get knocked out like a lot of people would like to see? No, but he lost, and that's what matters most. As far as say that second part again, because I feel like I may have answered it, but I just want to make sure.
I mean, you kind of did answer it. I mean, like I said, it was a WBC ranking on the line. Is it time to take him seriously, or like do we put him?
Is it time to take him seriously? No, it's not time to take him seriously. He hasn't beaten a boxer yet,
right?
And if he beats a boxer, the way that boxing works, he still needs to beat another 10 to 15 before we can take him seriously.
There you have it. So we'll see what happens. That's going to be interesting to see how it plays out over the next months, especially the next few months, especially with his ownership stake that he actually just took also. So moving on. Now, American Top Team is also out here just extra. So they posted a photo recently on Twitter with Johnny Eblen and the Dynamo Amasov. The question is, are they telling the truth with saying that Bellator is the best with the middleweight and welterweight in the world? Because they literally said best in the world.
Yeah. Before we go there, I see Julius salute to Juice. I don't know what nickname y'all are giving him, but I call him Juice.
That's Julius Bayless right there. That's my dog. That's Julius Bayless though.
All right. Well, he said he foresees him retiring soon. Why would he retire when he can keep these legalized bank robberies going? I mean, if you can keep making money and you just made 30 million, let's say you make what? A fourth of that. Yeah, you still It's a good gig while you can get it. So yeah, that's what I see. I don't see him retiring. I see him continuing to make them trips to the bank, rob somebody's bank and put it in his.
Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on American Top Team posting that they literally have the best in the world in the middleweight and the welterweight division? Are they proving the point that Bellator has the best right now?
I don't know that they are. That the point is full proof, or that it's ironclad, but they got a claim. They have a claim there. When you look at both Evelyn and Amasov, and if we just go champion for champion, you have Amasov, who can do it everywhere. He's not lost ever in his career. You telling me that he could not beat Mr. Headshot Dead Leon Rocky Edwards? I think he could beat him. It's not like he hasn't faced dangerous strikers before. He defeated Douglas Lima and I think he defeated him to get the belt. So could he best their champion? Yeah, I think he could. At 185, can Johnny Evelyn beat Powhatan? Can he beat Alex Pereira? Yeah, I think he can. Granted, we know that he is a disciple. He, being Powhatan, is a disciple of Glover Teixeira, and Glover's BJJ is phenomenal. But this dude still is primarily a kickboxer, and we have yet to see him challenge when it comes to wrestling. I mean, I think Izzy did get him down in one round and kept him down there for a little bit, and Izzy is nobody's wrestler. So what does someone like the former Mr. Diamond Hands, the current human cheat code, do to him when you got that tiger style, that Mizzou wrestling just running through your veins? Yeah, can he beat their champion? I think he can. I think that will be a great fight, and it's not a given that Alex Pereira will win. Now, when you speak about all of the welterweights and middleweights out there, that gets a little more dicey.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're speaking about the champions, definitely.
Well, Evelyn recently stated after 290 that he was the best in the world, and they talked to him. They asked him about a few things. And next up, he said he's possibly looking at the middleweight Grand Prix. So that'll definitely be interesting to see if he takes that and where he goes with that. He definitely made a statement that he doesn't want to be boxing for far too long. So he sees the end game true. Julie says, so that's true. If they allow him to keep fighting mediocre fights, he will stay, but he won't face anybody better than Fury.
He's absolutely right. And they will definitely allow him to face mediocre fights because he's his own promoter. He's the one who books the fights. So as long as people will continue to pony up for it, he'll keep doing it.
He's got a lot in the iron. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out, and especially with them trying to fight for fighters' rights. I would love to see how you don't see that happening.
No,
but I would love to see how that. I would love to see how that plays out with how the fighters react to him.
You will what? Anyway,
I would love to see how the fighters react to him even after the loss with what he's trying to do in the background. Like him or not, he definitely is a polarizing figure. He's going to bring a lot of eyes to it. Now we're going to take a quick break with a brand break from Ozel. But when we come back, we're going to be discussing the WBC Interim Featherweight title. And also we're going to get into it. UFC, the return of John Jones. Are you ready? Are you excited? Because it's been years and John is ready. So we're going to come back with a quick break from the Ozel brand, and we'll get into it.
Right before that break, we have one more comment from El Capitan.
The same Rick who was calling Jake Paul the possible GOAT last week. I don't want to hear this.
Yeah, he was saying GOAT because he wanted some Curry GOAT. That's really what happened. But let's pay some bills and we'll be back.
It's not just about the love of the game. It's about dedication and commitment through the process and the patience to endure. There's joy in reaching your goals and peace in knowing you've done all you're supposed to do. Ozell brand. It's not just a brand, it's a lifestyle.
Ozell brand, man. Make sure you get you some so you can be out here rocking them like Bruce Levoyce. Bruce Levoyce.
I like that.
Awesome. Let's get into it. We got a lot.
What is ready is not me.
Listen, we don't have time to go back and forth with Rick. Rick ain't got nothing to say. I'm fine with that. Now let's get into it. The WBC Interim Featherweight title will be on the line as Brandon Figueroa will face Mark Magsayo to determine who will win the vacant title and go on to fight Ray Vargas. Now, while Figueroa is excited to fight for the interim title, he was a little disappointed that his next bout would not be a rematch against Stephen Fulton, who gave him his only blemish. Now, while he awaits that opportunity, Brandon has set his sights on giving fans a show and becoming world champion. Now, he recently stated, "Everyone knows that I come to fight. Come March 4th, everyone's going to see what kind of fighter I am at 126 pounds." Now, as fans expected from Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez, this is going to be an amazing fight. This could be another Fight of the Year candidate, and I'm ready to show off my skills. He stated, "The fans love when I fight because they know it's never boring, and I want to fight the best and keep proving to everyone that I belong at this level." Now, Brandon also stated that he plans to focus on what allowed Ray Vargas to beat Mark in their previous bout to help him also. He said he's focused on the fact that Magsayo gets frustrated and impatient, and they're learning from that, and they're hoping to take advantage of that. Now, Voyze, I know that, Brandon only has that one blemish, and it's by Stephen Fulton. What are your thoughts on his disappointment with that fight? And what are we expecting with him coming into this one? Because even though he is stating that he's coming in for excitement, Mark Magsayo is no slouch.
No, he's not. As far as his disappointment, that is understandable. The young man was undefeated up to that time. He did have a draw against Julio Ceja, but he had not tasted defeat. And it was a majority decision. It wasn't even a unanimous decision, or a knockout. So it's like, man, you feel kind of robbed when you have cards like that. So I can understand him being frustrated about that and wanting to get his get back. But this takes him a step closer to that by getting the interim title. But he still has a way to go, because we know that Cool Boy Steph is going to be facing off against the monster in a way. And who knows how that's going to go. Steph may win. He may not win. If he does win, but it's close, you telling me they're not going to run that back? So, he may be looking a little too far ahead. Does he want to keep that fire and keep that desire to get it back going? Yeah. But he also needs to temper his expectations, because there's still way too much going on in that division for him to be focused past this fight. And in this fight, you've got Magnifico, who had his breakout performance besting Gary Russell Jr., the first one to give him his blemish. Now, granted, Gary Russell, his dad wasn't in his corner for the first time, and his shoulder was messed up, but that doesn't stop the fact that he won. Not only that, but he has been knocking out a lot of people. Remember Julio Ceja, who I said Figueroa had the split decision with. Well, I mean, not split decision, a draw against. Yeah, he knocked out Ceja. So even though Figueroa knocks out 72% of his opponents, Magnifico has pop as well. So it should be a really, really good fight. The person who he's like you say, he's looking at Cool Boy Steph, but you got Ray Vargas in there as well, who very well may be dropping back down to flyweight after losing to super flyweight titleist now Oshaki Foster a couple weeks ago. So there's a lot of moving pieces in this one, and whoever wins needs to stay focused on what's right in front of them versus what they believe or what they want way down the line.
So you made some great points. So my question is, if let's say Brandon wins, and let's say Brandon wins, Stephen Fulton wins, and Ray Vargas decides to move down, do we get that champion versus champion bout next, or does Brandon have to go elsewhere and continue to wait for Stephen Fulton? Because,
well, if I'm not mistaken as well, I have to go back and check. I feel like Fulton is fighting at 122, so he's really not in unless he's looking to drop down, because this is at 126. Unless he's looking to drop down, that's not even really a discussion to be had. Does this get you closer to doing that? Yeah, because you'll have a championship, but if he's looking at Fulton, his eyes are really in the wrong place, because like I said, Ray Vargas is the current champion.
Okay. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting to see, especially considering the fact that just reading up and watching the media rounds for Brandon Figueroa, it kind of feels like he's almost looking a little bit past. And that we've seen in the past, that can literally kind of be your downfall, and you catch that one punch because you're looking too far ahead. So that'll be great to see. Now, UFC 285 is what everyone's been talking about. The card is incredible from top to bottom. Now, in one of the great undercard bouts for UFC 285 is going to be welterweight championship implications. Now, the number 8 and the number 10 ranked fighters are going to be meeting, as the Nomad is literally going to be facing Hands of Steel when Shavkat Rakhmonov. I'll be practicing.
Boy, you getting there. You are getting there.
He looks to take his undefeated streak into the octagon against Jeff Neal in what many to believe is going to be his biggest test to date. Now, the bout was originally scheduled to take place at UFC Fight Night 217 and was delayed due to an injury that was suffered by Neal. Now, Nomad is 16 bouts in, undefeated. Half of those wins are by submission, and the other half remaining is by KO. Now, when Neal had to pull out of their previous fight, Nomad took the first shot via Twitter stating, apparently at Hands of Steel is all talk, with Neal responding back, didn't know getting injured means I'm all talk. Blank, blank, let's rebook it. Now, many people believe that Nomad is actually going to be due for a title fight in 2023 if he can get past Neal this Saturday. Now, Neal is Neal is no slouch either. While he does have losses, Neal has shown incredible poise with his last win, I believe, actually coming via knockout. So, Voyze, I want to ask, with these two coming head to head and everyone literally wanting the Nomad to be able to set himself up for a 2023 title shot, what are we looking forward to, and how did you feel about that back and forth between the two?
Well, I love when people want to talk. You got to put your money where your mouth is. You have to back it up. But both of these fighters have the skills and the firepower to back things up. As you stated, Hands of Steel is on a 2-fight winning streak. It's 3-2 in his last 5. 2-fight winning streak. Beat Ponzinibbio by decision, and then knocked out Luque in the next fight. And who did he call out after that? None other than Luque's teammate, Gilbert Burns. And a lot of people thought, ooh, that's a nice call out. That, that's a real nice call out. Now, he didn't get him. He got Shavkat. But there were a lot of things in Burns's post-fight speech in the cage that really said a lot about him. He probably unwittingly gave us a little too much info, a little too much behind the scenes stuff, because he said, he really fights to the level of competition that he has. If no one gets you up for a fight, Shavkat better get you up for a fight because of the things that you said. He's undefeated. He's never been to a decision. He's well-rounded. He can stop you with his strikes, or he can stop you with a submission. So you better have your A game. And now, you got the back and forth too. Yeah, he better bring it, and he can bring it. He's been around a bit longer, and if he is victorious, being Neil, he will have put a stop to, or at least slow down the hype train. Thanks, Rick. We appreciate that. So talking about we're amazing. We appreciate that. But yeah, he will have slowed down, at least slowed down, if not stopped the hype train, because like Islam, like Hamzat, and like Habib before them, the UFC is putting a whole lot of promotional might behind this fighter from the Eastern Bloc. They get a whole lot of love, and Shavkat is getting that. The fact that people would even think that he have a chance of fighting for the title this year is that's pretty major. And many people, they kind of dismiss the fact that, or I should say they were upset, myself included. I wasn't happy that he didn't fight back in January. But this is a much bigger spot for him. Now you're on the pay-per-view. You're in a premier spot, being that third fight. That's wonderful. But let's not discount Neil. Neil has looked phenomenal. He's been in there against some of the best, something that Shavkat can't necessarily say. Will that experience lift him and cause him to win the fight? We won't know until the pin drops, cage door locks, thumbs go up, and they start the clock.
Now, it's interesting because with him being so dominant at such a young age, he's only 28. People really believe that he may be the future. I mean, at 18, he became a world champion with the World MMA Association, I believe. In 2014, he became the Asian MMA champion. That same year, he was runner-up for the World Championship. So he comes literally baked with a championship pedigree, and he looks like he's on the road. So Jeff Neal is definitely going to have his hands full. That's going to be a great way to start an amazing card. And then right after that,
well,
go ahead.
Before we move forward, this is why it's the Voyze's Marquee matchup. It's because of Shavkat, because of his ceiling, or the trajectory that he's on. This is why it's the Voyze's Marquee matchup. Like you said, this is not the first fight on the card. This is just leading up to the championship fights. But you got Bo Nickel at 170 making his debut, someone who the UFC is putting a lot of promotional push behind as well, and someone who could give Shavkat a run for their money. It's not out of the question to think that Bo Nickel versus Shavkat Rakhmonov won't be a title fight in a year or so. You also have Mateusz Gamrot facing Jalen Turner. That's going to be a banger. But this is the Voyze's Marquee matchup, again, because of the more immediate title implications. 2023 seems too soon. I can see maybe 2024, but we're into the third month. He would need to fight again, I would say, to have a shot at the title. Beating Jeff Neal should not cause you to fight for the title. I mean, just
Right.
we had to be real. But does it put you that much closer? Yes, it does.
Well, he's currently the number 8th ranked fighter, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how how a convincing win is going to set him up for that future title shot. Now, it seems like there's a pattern here on this card where it seems to be a great fighter is coming up against a dominant fighter. Now, this is already a stacked card, but the UFC Women's Flyweight Championship title fight is going to be even bigger. The champion Valentina Shevchenko, I'm killing it today, is going to be going into the bout defending her title on her 9th fight winning streak. Her last loss was 2017 against basically the GOAT, Amanda Nunes. Now, the
GOAT.
The challenger is Alexa Grasso. Now, she also comes into this bout on a win streak, looking to dethrone the current champion while also offering praise for the woman that they call Bullet. Now, she said recently, Bullet's dominance over the last few years, come on, it's impossible to discredit her. She's been so dominant, she's so great, and I can't say anything bad about her, honestly. I can't say anything wrong about her, but I'm also thankful with tough opponents because every single time that I have a tough opponent, I'm better. So this time, I'm a lot better than the fight camp before and the year before and 3 years before that. Now, the 29-year-old is literally looking to be as successful as her two Mexican countrymen, Brandon Moreno and Yair Rodriguez, who both recently also won UFC title belts. So, Voyze, I have to ask, with her countrymen taking care of business, is it possible that we're going to see a tremendous upset when they get into that octagon?
In the words of Kevin Garnett, when he was draped in the green and white.
Here we go.
Anything is possible. Just because it's possible doesn't mean it's probable. But you're right. This would be a really, really big win for Mexico because you'd have 3 Mexican champions, and I can't remember when we've had 2, much less 3. I mean, I think we're really breaking ground when it comes to Mexico and MMA. She fights out of Grasso, one of the best gyms in Mexico, being Lobo Gym. They got a lot of great fighters coming out of that camp, specifically women. Irena Aldana also fights out of that camp. So, she's getting good work there. You spoke about the fact that, she's on a tear. She lost last to Carla Esparza, but since then she's run off 4 straight fighting at flyweight. That was her last fight at strawweight. She moved up in weight and has not been stopped since then. She's someone that the UFC has had some promotional push behind, and there's always been talk of her challenging for a title. Now she gets the opportunity to do that. And she's doing it, like she said, against one of the most dominant champions that the UFC has seen, especially in the women's division. I forget what the record is. I don't know if it's 8 or 9 being the record, but Bullet is right there. If she doesn't have the record, she's right there knocking on the door of holding the record for the most dominant woman champion in the history of the UFC. However, her last bout was a split decision win, which a number of people thought that, she may have lost that fight. Now, I don't think that she lost it, but it was very, very close. And that has some people wondering, has the Bullet, was that just a misfire for the Bullet, or has the Bullet run out of gunpowder? They're saying, well, maybe she's slowing down, maybe that's showing some chinks in her armor. We have to remember that this is not her first combat sports career. She had a whole nother career in kickboxing and then has come over to MMA and been a dominant champion, or at least a dominant name in the sport. You know, she's doing her thing, but she's no spring chicken. She's 34 years old, and time comes for us all. So, you know, is this the perfect storm for Grasso to become champion? It could be, or it could be the perfect opportunity for Bullet to say, "Hey, yeah, I know what happened last time. That wasn't me. That wasn't me." Let me remind y'all. Let's go back to my Roy Jones Jr. days. Y'all must have forgot, and I'm about to remind you just who Bullet Shevchenko is.
Don't do that to my man Roy Jones. That was the worst song ever. I'm just gonna put that out there. Roy, don't come for me, but it was hilarious.
There were worse. Must Be the Money.
He ain't have to do. Must Be the Money is a classic. There would not be any Dion primetime slander here.
I'm not slandering him. I'm just saying that that you have to remember that there's some other songs out there of note, and the notes aren't that good.
He didn't have to do Bernard Hopkins like that in the music video. That's my problem. You don't treat Philly like that. Let me run off
this person. Okay, I get it.
Let me run off some stats for you. Alexia Grasso is 4-0 since moving up to the flyweight division in August of 2020. Now, Shevchenko is totally different. She's one of 2 women's flyweight champions in UFC history. Nico Montano is the other.
Mm-hmm.
She has 7 consecutive UFC title defenses. Those are the most amongst current promotional champions. She's 9-0, of course, since dropping the flyweight division in February of 2018. And her 9-fight win streak in UFC competition, get this, it's the 3rd longest active streak in the company, behind Islam and Arnold Allen. That's big.
That's huge.
That's big. She is dominant. So there's a lot to look forward to there. And it's a great segue into literally what everybody is really coming to see that night. Now, in what many are considering to be the possible GOAT in
hold on. Let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. Who said just facts. Not quite sure what those just facts were about, but we'll take that. And then I don't know where AB comes in to this.
I don't want to hear AB's song, and I don't want to see that ridiculous dance.
Oh, that's where he comes in. I got you.
I don't want to see or hear either one of them. Okay.
Yeah. No, nor do I. Let's get back to what matters.
You keep last week you was entertaining my mama. Now you entertaining Rick this week. Come on.
I mean, we gotta give the people what they want.
No, because mom's was ready for the smoke. It was smoke the clock, and I heard about it afterwards.
I told you. That's why I cleaned up my act real quick, because I ain't want no Megabus tickets purchased on my behalf.
You her favorite Voice. You and her and my auntie. Y'all the favorite. So it don't really matter. Now, John Bones Jones is going to be returning to the octagon for the first time in over 3 years when he faces Cyril Gane for the vacant heavyweight championship on Saturday in Las Vegas. Now, Jones, who holds the UFC record for title fight wins at 14, is going to be facing a steep challenge. Now, Gane is 6'4", 247. He's knocked out some of the biggest names in the sports. But based on some of Jones's tweets, he is completely not impressed. Some of the things that he said about Gane, he said Gane's last 3 opponents had terrible defense. These guys couldn't stop a kick if their life depended on it. He's fought flat-footed boxers his last 3 fights. It's important to also note that Gane is 11-1, with his lone loss coming in a unanimous decision to the free agent Francis Ngannou at UFC 270. Now, Voice, I want to give you a couple stats before we get into this. Gane is the only French-born fighter in history to win a version of a UFC title fight. He's one of 15 fighters in history to win a version of the UFC title with an undefeated record. He's one of 3 heavyweights in the modern UFC history to start his career 7-0 in the octagon. The 2 others, Cain Velasquez and Junior Juan Santos, are the others. We understand what we get with John, but is he putting, as the older folks like to say, the cart before the horse when he's speaking about Gane's talent and what he can do in the octagon?
Yeah, he is. Now, granted, and we spoke about this a bit last week, that to be a champion specifically in combat sports, you have to have a little bit of delusion, because to believe, to go in and believe, oh yeah, no one can beat me, and I'm the best ever. Everyone can get beat. Somebody has everyone's number. For John, he hasn't run into that man yet, so he talks a little crazier than most. However, there are so many things going on in there, especially with the cart before the horse thing. Let's speak about some of the things that John is experiencing that are new. One, he's at a new weight class. We don't know what he's going to look like at this weight class. We spoke about it a little bit last week. He's got an excellent chin for 205. Can he take these blows from these big guys?
Mm-hmm.
That remains to be seen. He was quick and elusive at at light heavyweight. You carrying at least 25 more pounds into the cage on fight night, if not more than that, than what you fought at last. And let's not forget, when he was powerlifting, when he was out one time before and came in, he had a dud of a fight against OSP. Again, we don't know what John is going to look like at this weight. Not only is it a new weight class, he's in a new camp. The people who have been in his ear, the people who have prepared him before, the people who know how to get him to perform are not there. He's not with Jackson Wink anymore. I don't believe Brandon Six Guns Gibson is in his corner. Now you got different people in your ear for one camp at a new weight class. Oh, and what else is new is his fiance, air quotes, left him, which I thank God for, because no one should have to endure the stuff that he put her through. No one. So everything is new for you. That means if she put him out, that means that more than likely she's got the house and he's got somewhere new to live, because you're training in Arizona. You're not in New Mexico anymore. You got new people around you. There's a new camp, a new weight class, and a whole new life. There are so many question marks, which is the reason that everyone is really looking forward to this fight. Oh, and let's not forget that those who have had the most success against John, specifically Alexander Gustafsson, who gave him the best fight that he had until he started losing, but not losing in these past couple fights. Yeah, he was a big guy. Cyril Gane is 6'4". He's not going to necessarily be the taller fighter and be able to use his length to big brother like he could before. So there are so many things, so many different subplots with this. Now, I sent you a link for my man Sadiq Yusuf, who, if you are not following this man on YouTube before fights, you don't even have to like fighting. Just follow him for it. He's absolutely hilarious. Salute Niger stand up. And yeah, just Sadiq is a nut. He mentioned in his unprofessional breakdown that Francis Ngannou learned how to wrestle in the locker room before the fight against God. Now, we know that John's been wrestling a lot longer than that, and this is how Francis won the fight, was through his wrestling. And John is an excellent wrestler. John been wrestling forever. And what gives him an even greater advantage in this is that he's been training with Henry Cejudo, a gold medal champion in wrestling who knows how to wrestle in MMA because he was a champ as well in MMA. So he's got that going for him. But to do that, you got to get inside. And does John have the ability to shoot in and things? Yeah, he does. But to shoot in, you get close enough to get caught too. And Cyril has them hands. Ask the Black Beast. Black Beast ain't been the same since Cyril put his hands on him. And has knocked out so many different people. But not just that, he knows how to box too. You know, he knows how to stay away because he's got a kickboxing background. So it's going to be a phenomenal fight. Can't wait to see it. Cannot wait.
Now, it's going to be a great fight, but we can't end the show without talking about the back and forth between your guy, Francis Ngannou, and John Jones that has taken place recently. Now, as you know, Francis Ngannou did not resign with the UFC. He's actually looking for newer and more opportunities. Basically, he's looking for new challenges to go. They asked John Jones about that, and John Jones, who was previously very supportive of that, came back and stated this recently. He said, Francis had the opportunity to face me, and he opted out of the opportunity. If anyone should be criticized, it's Francis Ngannou. If I'm correct, he was offered the biggest contract in heavyweight history. He had the opportunity to be the guy to dethrone me. He didn't believe in himself, and he doesn't believe in himself. He wasn't willing to gamble on himself. Now, this comes after statements that apparently were made by Ngannou, who stated, listen, I'm always going to be the undisputed champ. No one beat me. This is what it is. Now, on Twitter, they asked John, why the change in attitude? He said, I found an interview of Francis talking about how he'll forever be the undisputed champion because no one beat him. Once I saw that, my tone changed. I thought I would tell you how I really felt. Did he make the right decision? He left before I came back, and that was probably a smart move. Now, we all know Ngannou is not going to let you say anything to him without him speaking. Ngannou responded and said, Johnny boy, pick a side of the fence. He was never the lightweight. He attached the old tweet that was in a quote. That was actually a quote from Jones about Daniel Cormier. He said he was never the light heavyweight champion. He never beat me. This has been my era since 2011, and I want to make that loud and clear. So the question I want to ask before we close out, with these two going back and forth about who was the true and once and only undisputed champ if John Jones wins, who has the better argument here? Because John been gone for 3 years. We saw what Ngannou did in that period of time. It really wasn't on Ngannou. John just didn't come back in time because of all of his struggles. So with you being a big Ngannou fan, but also being a fan of John Jones, I want to get your thoughts on who would really have the best argument here if John were to win.
If John wins, he's the champion. All this other stuff that's being bantered about is just like the whole pound for pound debate. It's something that, at least at this point, will never be determined. Now, again, going back to John's delusion, you think the man didn't stick around because he was scared of you? Again, that's delusion. But in order to be a champion, there has to be a bit of delusion there. I like what Francis is saying. What he's saying. It's like, hey, you haven't beat me, and Francis can say, look, I'm the champ. I'm the lineal champ or whatever. However, well, let me not say that. He can say that because he beat the best heavyweight in history in Stipe Miocic. And not only did he beat him, every time Stipe went to take him down, he stood him right back up and then start mopping him. So do I think that someone who's a natural heavyweight in Stipe, John coming into heavyweight is going to be able to do better than Stipe? He might, because he's been able to do some things, but if he did that to Stipe, then I'm not doubting his ability to employ anti-wrestling against anybody.
Okay, there you have it. Well, it's definitely going to be an exciting card. UFC 285 that's going to be taking place Saturday, March 4th at the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada. Make sure you're following The Voice on Twitter, because I'm sure The Voice is going to be covering that with his live feedback on that. We just want to make sure that we always prepare you for the best in combat sports for the week. As you know, MTMV Sports, we literally are you. We are the fans. We just decided that we wanted to be able to speak about it on camera, and we do our best each week to make sure that we bring you the best in all sports. We do our research. We go through a lot because we want to give you the best. Please make sure you visit MTMVPN. Get your merch. Check out the articles. The Voice has great writing also. That you want to speak on that, Voice?
Well, I speaking on, I just say go to the site, check it out, tell me what you think.
There you go. The one time Voice gets a chance to literally gloat and get out there, he's not. Now he wants to be humble. I don't want to hear that voice. The Voice is talented. Make sure you go and check out his article. Make sure you go and grab that merch. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Support the team. We have some amazing shows for you, some amazing articles, great content. Thank you all for being with us today. Voice, give us your last word and take us out, sir.
Last word is that MTMV is partnering with Track Stars to support the relief efforts in Syria and Turkey. And right now, UNICEF has a promotion where they'll match, looks like 3 times whatever your donations are. So look for UNICEF USA and the donation links for that to donate to those in Syria and Turkey. We know that the first set of earthquakes ravaged them, and then last week Turkey got hit with another one. So whatever you're seeing will help tremendously, and now you've got 3 times the power. So give.
Definitely. Thank you all for tuning in. As you know, it's Smoke O'Clock Tuesday. Every Tuesday, 7:15 Eastern Standard Time. I did all those great talking, and at the end I'm flubbing. Thank you for tuning in with us. MTMV Sports. We out.